Hey everyone, I'm Patrick Jones, and welcome to episode 56 of That Gets Me Anxiety. That Gets Me Anxiety. Can't even say the name of my own podcast. Welcome to episode 56 of That Gives Me Anxiety. Well, friends, it finally happened. I'm getting old. I know the signs were there. I just made a mistake. I just messed up saying the name of my podcast. But beyond that, found out today I have arthritis in my back. Yeah, I've been having a lot of back pain and going to a chiropractor and doing stretches and this and that, back cracks, getting all these different contraptions to try to help myself. Wanted a second opinion, so I got x-rays and turns out arthritis. Which immediately just makes me feel like I'm 100 years old. Right, just choosing to make myself sound like a victim. Oh, pity me. Other than that, how's your holiday anxiety? Because mine's through the roof. There just couldn't be more to do, and more stuff gets piled on top. But you feel this pressure to be like, oh, I gotta do it because otherwise I don't love anyone. And if those people think that I don't love them, then I'll be doomed to be walking the streets on Christmas alone with back arthritis. But yeah, really looking forward to Christmas, going back to Long Island, where I'm from, where my family lives, which is fun and exhausting at the same time. Finally got our Christmas lights here up in Charleston. The tree's looking good. I'm starting to understand why some people bleed into mid-January with their tree and their lights. It's like, this is so much work. But yeah, I've got another great episode lined up. It's part 2 of my interview with Pallavi Yetur, who's a therapist out in LA and also works for the mental health gym Koa, who's offering a promo code, which you can find at the back end of this episode. The episode is about scarcity mentality, and this is the second half of that. So bringing it home, you may decide to go back and listen to the first episode, which posted last week, and get it all in one chunk. Either way, both episodes have a lot of good information that I think you'll really benefit from. So before we get to the interview with Pallavi, I just want to remind you, if you're liking the show, to please remember to rate and review it. You can check the show out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, or YouTube. YouTube is where you can see me pushing Ollie off of me because he wants to play as I record this. Then there's the Buy Me a Coffee link, which is just a way to make a donation to the show, and which is extremely helpful to help make these and keep going with them. And Buy Me a Coffee is just a platform that allows that donation to come through. And on top of that, we've got a new sponsor of the show, which is extremely exciting. And they are Pure Spectrum CBD, who's offering the promo code AnxietyPod for 15% off your orders. Which is cool, yeah. Check them out, and by supporting them, you'll be supporting me. Well, all right. I think that's enough blabbering from me, and time to go to Pallavi. Oh, that rhymed. Cringe. As always, thank you so much for listening, and enjoy. Well, I'm curious about, like, a lot of how I feel like I'm not a therapist, right? But a lot of, I can understand this feeling, and I can understand how it leads to, I don't like it, but I can understand how this would lead to, like, a lot of anger, right? Yeah. Someone views a parking spot that is quote unquote theirs. Yes. How do you handle, if you're this angry person, how do you start to manage that?
Yeah, anger is, I like this question too. Good ones, Patrick.
I'm on top of things today.
You're on top of it. So anger is a big topic because I think we do a lot that's in service of trying to move away from our anger because it's unpleasant or it's judged by society, right? We've sort of labeled anger as a bad feeling or a negative thing, but it's part of the human experience. We need it, but because it's been stigmatized, we don't feel the freedom we need to be able to express it properly. And so it gets held in, it either becomes anxiety or it turns into lashing out. So you have this person who's, parking spot got ganked, and then now he's lashing out or he's fantasizing taking a crowbar to that guy's car or whatever. The fantasy is okay. And I think that we tend to feel like, oh God, I'm a terrible person. I have these violent urges, but that makes it worse. Like, we really want to acknowledge that sucked. I'm
Hmm.
really angry. I feel powerless and helpless in this situation. There's nothing I can do. I wish I could just bat that guy's car, but I'm not going to, because that's not, no, that's a crime.
Yeah.
And so, how do I move on and tap into my agency to find a different parking spot? So, it is having to really sit with it. Like, that anger is not going to just go away. Someone violated
Hmm.
you, right? Someone took your space. And
Hmm.
that's not, that'll heat you up. And it'll heat some people up more than others. But
Hmm.
then it's about understanding that we do have some control and some power and agency in our lives, and we can find a different option.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I park, my fiance always laughs at me. I park as far away. I just find the first spot and I park and I'm out of the equation.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about anything except, making her unhappy. But it's just nice to be free from that,
It's
right?
not, so I like what you're saying, because that in some senses what you're talking about is taking yourself out of the running a little bit,
Mhm.
right? So rather than competing in this heated kind of competition, I'm going to remove myself. In some cases, that's great, right? You're saying that that saves you from anxiety. That actually makes you feel calmer. It gives you more of a sense of agency
It
because you
doesn't
have more,
matter. Yeah.
it doesn't matter, and you have
Yeah.
more spots to choose from now.
Hmm.
The way that it would become a detriment to you is if you needed to be close for some reason, if you had some sort of issue that required you to be close, and now you're shortchanging
Hmm.
yourself of that need just because you need to take yourself out of the running. So
Right.
that's
Okay.
sort of the metaphor that we're talking about in the cost benefit analysis that I'm talking about. What's the
Yeah.
cost of taking yourself out?
Makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. Right. If you're driving to a hospital, you want to be up front to drop
Right,
something off
exactly.
or whatever.
Like,
Yeah.
you're driving your pregnant partner and like she's in
Yeah.
labor. Like, something that where your need changes. And so then you might feel maybe a little bit more equipped or a little bit more able to tap into some of that aggression because you need it.
Right. Absolutely. So a lot of this feels like sort of an ongoing process to
Yes.
unravel, right? Something that you're not going to solve in an instant. But let's say you are, we'll use the job example. You're pulling up LinkedIn and you have like a low moment and you start talking yourself out of it. How do you like just put the brakes on that and try to like even instill the cost benefit analysis that you've been describing?
Yeah, so our perceptions tend to be sort of one-sided. So
Hmm.
when we're looking on these job postings and we're looking at the description, I would imagine that people, especially people with anxiety, are going to be looking at that job description and sizing themselves up in an unfavorable way. So,
Hmm.
okay, no, I can't really do that. I haven't really done that. I don't really have that much experience. I don't,
200
maybe,
people already applied, right?
right,
Like,
exactly,
yeah.
right. Like, maybe I could fudge that, but I'm not sure.
Hmm.
Whereas you could just as easily be like, yep, I've done that, or I know how I can sell some skills in that area, or I have plenty of experience in this. Maybe it doesn't totally match, but I feel like I can do this job, right? So it's a very different way of talking to ourselves and engaging with this thing that we're looking for. A lot of it comes down to maybe being as simple as being able to celebrate your wins, your
Hmm.
accomplishments, right?
Yeah.
We forget about those all the time, and then we start to favor the lack, the scarcity, the deprivation, the things we don't have.
Hmm.
So changing that or shifting it over to remind ourselves, like, this isn't one-sided, it's not black or white. For everything that I feel like I'm lacking, there are probably a few things that I have to offer.
Hmm.
So we are looking at only one side of it. We need to represent both sides. That is the
Yeah.
responsibility we have to
The
ourselves.
yin and the yang. There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the reality mindset, right? Because only seeing your lack is not reality.
You're
That
right.
that's not the whole picture.
Right. Absolutely. Can we talk? I know you've got a lot on your plate. You've got work, you've got friends, you've got family, pets, you've got the people that you make small talk with at the coffee shop or gym. You've got that bird that you see when you wake up every morning outside your window that you've projected things onto. Look at that bird. Doesn't even love its family. It's always by itself. You do that. Everyone does that. Point is, you've got a lot on your plate. Well, that's why there's Instacart, to take a little bit off your plate. Using Instacart, you Search for all your favorite foods and things that you need from the grocery store, all online, all while you're looking at that bird, wondering why it hasn't called its mom. And they deliver it to you. They go to the store and do the shopping for you. And they can deliver it in as fast as an hour. And you can sign up by clicking the link in the description, wherever you're listening or watching. And that's a great way of supporting the show. So it's a great way of supporting this show. It's a great way to make your life a little bit easier, because we all know that you have so much going on, like wondering whether that bird judges you back. Well, you mentioning sort of the scale of reality, and I'm curious how abundance and abundant mindset affects people, just to show the other side of this.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I haven't heard a lot of people like really being
Yeah,
like,
I don't think
"Ooh,
I've met
abundance."
anyone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's probably less, it's probably more rare, but I would imagine it probably sounds like, oh yeah, there's no problems here. I can have whatever I want and I can, there's plenty to go around. And, I think that I'm sure could help in terms of getting us mobilized to go after those things.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder if it sets us up to feel, I don't know, an entitlement
Mm-hmm.
that isn't going to help us out in the end. And it's an unrealistic expectation
Yeah.
that there is an abundance. It might impact the way that we show up to something if there's it also, I think, if we're talking about anger and aggression being uncomfortable, I think the idea of abundance also maybe saves us or protects us from having to feel angry or competitive, because it's like, it's all good. Like, I don't have to feel stressed out or competitive about this. So now we're
It's me
not
with a parking spot.
exactly, like, there's plenty, no
Right.
problem. So now we're actually not allowing ourselves to sit with our discomfort and kind of grow and tolerate that, which is also a really important part of becoming mentally healthier, is being able to sit with the stuff we don't want to sit with.
Oh man. Well, this is something I'll write this down from my therapist.
Yeah, exactly.
Something else to mention.
I know. My therapist is always talking about tolerating tolerating your feelings. And I'm like, oh God, yeah. Like, that just means sitting with them, because we might wish that we could do something with them. We might wish that they just go away, but they won't. They're there for a reason. And if the more we try to push them, the longer they stick around. So
Oh man. Yeah. But here I am thinking, like, I'm just going to sit this one out, right? I'm going
yeah.
to sit this feeling out, because it's emotionally exhausting to be
Yeah.
angry and punching the steering wheel or whatever
Yes.
you're doing. So if you can find a way, like, yeah, but I guess you are right in that we should not be ignoring our feelings, because they come out.
They come out. And that's exactly what we're talking about with like angry lashing out. If we don't give voice to the feeling in a constructive way, it'll come out in a way that's destructive and potentially damaging. And we don't want that.
Mm-hmm.
But it is, I think we can remind ourselves that it's that the whole 12-step thing. I really like the accept the things that we cannot
Mm-hmm.
change and have the courage to engage with the things that we can.
Mm-hmm.
And that really is the crux of it. We have to tolerate that there will be discomfort around the fact that we do not have control over every aspect of everything. But we don't have to take ourselves out of the running of being able to acknowledge that we do have control and power and agency over more things than we think.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
have
that's great.
you have the agency to find a different parking spot. Like, you can.
I know, my fiance tells me that all the time. Yeah. Not to make this like a 1980s like stand-up bit of
Yeah.
like
What's the deal with parking spots?
yeah. Take my wife.
Yeah. Have you been watching this show, The Rehearsal?
Oh my gosh. It's all I want to talk about.
I
Yes.
know.
Tell me.
Okay, so this is super interesting because it's so meta, that show.
Mhm.
Like, essentially, he's giving people the opportunity to mitigate their anxiety by creating all of the possible scenarios that we can't control. So it's this like anxiety fantasy
Yeah.
that we don't always have those kinds of resources to be able to prepare for 100% of the possibilities.
You can't recreate a bar in Brooklyn.
Right. You can't run it 80 times with different actors at the time. You know, you can't try on Parenthood the way that he's so it's such an interesting thing because I think it does provide this sense of catharsis to anxious people who probably would ruminate about every single one of those scenarios before they go in for the real thing. So it is like it's very interesting because it is a fantasy for anxiety. But then look what happens in the end. They still can't anticipate what's going to happen.
Right.
And then they just have to call on their own feelings and their own faculties or their own relationship dynamics and get the thing done.
There's like an extra level that you can't practice.
Exactly. Or like that one guy who disappeared. He couldn't tolerate the unknown, and so he bowed out.
Do you think that's what happened? I think the practice was my theory was the practice was perfect, and he felt good enough to be like, all right, that's what I need to say.
He felt ready.
Yeah. That's what I thought it was.
He reached some catharsis and was like, I'm good.
Yeah, like this is what I actually want to say. I love it. We're discussing our fan theories of the rehearsal. But I guess that was like it was just like, I don't need to be on TV anymore.
Yeah.
I know because before that he was like blaming the Jews and like saying other crazy stuff. Like,
right. There was
not what I'm saying, but this man has very weird and conflicted and wrong thoughts about Jewish people. But he was like bringing in these ridiculous things, and then he actually gave like a heartfelt, emotional, thought out argument.
So the way I read that, because I've seen this as a therapist, is that a lot of times people will come in with all the bullshit, right? Like all of the defenses. So all of his talking about whatever, blaming whoever, that's him deflecting away from his real feelings. Like he was talking about having to have a conversation with a family member. Like that's very personal. Why are we pulling it out of the personal and going like very social, right? So a lot of people will do that. They'll remove their problem very far from the personal. And as soon as Nathan Fielder like created that grandfather scenario that made it feel really personal, I think too many feelings got churned up for him and he wasn't ready for them. And so he disappeared. A lot of times what I see with therapy patients is that they'll come, they're ready, they want to do the work, they have reasons for doing the work. We start, and maybe a couple sessions in, it starts feeling too real, and then I never see them again.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, you're certainly the experienced one here. So
I like your read too. I think that there was a moment there that they went through that was really special. So either thing could have been.
There we go. What a polite way to be like.
We don't know, Patrick.
We don't know
the whole thing.
Yes. But if anyone's not watching that show, they really should be.
Yeah.
It's a spectacle.
Yeah. I don't even know how to classify it, but it's like a roller coaster.
It really is. Yeah. Today's episode is sponsored by My Software Tutor. Can Excel be my friend? Do you want a new friend? Thinking about making new friends both makes me excited and sad. So it can be hard to make friends as you get older. And so I feel like sometimes you get surrounded by people. It's like, yeah, I guess we're friends. But also if you truly connect with someone, you can make new friends as an adult. On both sides of the fence here. So Excel can be your friend, or it could be surrounding you. That's just probably because you don't know it that well. Many people, I've deviated so far from the copy. Let me get back to it. Can Excel be my friend? Many people have wondered this for years. The answer is, yes, it can. That was so much shorter than where I was going with it. All right, let's talk about My Software Tutor. They offer 3 levels of real-time Zoom-based courses with a live instructor. They all deliver practical, functional business skills in a friendly, supportive environment. That sounds nice. I mean, it could be so daunting to learn Excel or make friends. These courses will increase your marketability, whether you're an employee, job seeker, consultant, or contractor. That sounds pretty good. Register at mysoftwaretutor.com and use the promo code POD20 to save 20% off Registrations. Well, with related to scarcity mentality, is there anything you think we haven't touched upon that is important to throw out here?
I think that, I was talking about how this impacts communities, it impacts the impoverished or people from certain backgrounds. But I do want to emphasize what I was saying before, that each of us has a very individual, personal relationship with scarcity based on our upbringings, our home lives, and, even like the industries we're trying to be in and the goals and desires we have. It is a little bit linked to imposter syndrome that way, where we can feel so undeserving or so mismatched from between what we do have to offer versus what we think is available for us, that we feel like we don't deserve things. So, I think each person is going to have an individual relationship to the idea of scarcity. And then if we look collectively, we start seeing that there's some commonalities in those experiences, which also means that it can bring us together.
That's a beautiful thing. Yeah, that's what we want, right?
Yeah, that is ultimately what we want. And that's such a sinister thing about anxiety and depression, is that so many of us are feeling it. And sometimes you wouldn't even know because we feel so much shame about it that we don't come together about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I finally started talking to friends, they were like, "Oh man, you hit it so well." And it's like, that was shocking to me, where it was just like, I mean, yeah, because I feel like I would just like be like a skeleton until I could get somewhere that I felt comfortable in order to like release that. And that's awful. It's awful.
Like safety. So that was a scarcity for you, is a sense of safety.
Yeah.
And so you had to really find a lot of it in order to feel okay.
Yeah, absolutely. But not anymore. Now I talk about it to everyone that even mentions the word anxiety. Like, I'm anxious and I'm on Prozac. How are you?
Amazing. No, that's so true. I mean, that's what mental health is about, connection too. That's how you make it stick.
Oh, yeah.
Is recognizing you need other people.
Absolutely. When I first got on Prozac, and listeners who have listened to the episode where I start to talk about taking Prozac.
Joining the club.
Joining the club, yes. Giving Big Pharma more money. There were two different women that perform at the comedy theater that I perform at. And we're just like hanging out before the show, and they just started talking about how they've been taking Prozac for a while. And as a new person, I was like, like 3 of the 4 people are taking this. Yeah, me too. And it was just like, I have so many questions, right? It's just, it was just like serendipitous, because like in that moment, that day, right, I was like experiencing turmoil, being like, oh man, like, is this going to work? What's happening? What's going to happen? And then to like see like 2 highly functioning, right, like intelligent people who I respect being like, me too, right? It was just nice to connect in that way.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I like about what we're doing at COA too, is that, we're trying to get ourselves as like a society out of this belief that mental illness is like this state that is the only state you're allowed to be in order to seek help. But, I think mental illness, even as a term, kind of stigmatizes things. Like, we all have emotional issues, every single one of us, in different shapes. And we all could benefit from paying more attention to those and getting some support. And so whatever that support looks like for folks is exactly what they need. And it's a human experience.
Absolutely. Yeah, completely agree. Life is a lot. I mean, why would you ignore it? Right. It's just, it's the dust bunny under the couch that it's only going to get bigger. I mean, you got to sweep it.
Yeah, exactly. And the resources are there. It's hard to find. I'm not going to deny, like, there's a lot of issues with the mental health system, but there are resources available. And a lot of us, I think, stop ourselves from allowing ourselves to need them.
Absolutely. One of life's mysteries is that birthdays always find me unprepared, catch me unprepared. I don't go on Facebook as much, so I don't notice them as much. But I want to express my love and appreciation for friends and family. That wasn't part of the copy. I'm just saying it. Year after year, month after month. Even when I see it coming, I'm not ready. Am I a jerk? Yes and no. Why do things have to be so black and white for you? But I've got great news, friends. Introducing monthly card subscriptions from the Cardist studio. Join the service that delivers the card and the stamp that you'll need to your door. No more errands. Who wants more errands? I don't know why, but I'm starting to think of errands as a kid's name. Errands, go back to bed. Okay, but here's how it works. You choose your categories, from birthdays and celebrations to love and encouragement, or select their full collections and have those thank you notes and just because cards at the ready. Those ones are always so nice. Like when you get a card for doing something and it's just like a small little heads up or token of appreciation, it genuinely makes you feel really good. And best of all, you would never get caught cardless again. Let me repeat, you'll never get caught cardless again. Try to say that a bunch of times in a row. You'll never get caught cardless again. Monthly card subscriptions from as little as $8 per month for the card and the stamp. Delivered to you. TheCardistStudio.com shop subscriptions. And you can use the promo code AnxietyPod for 15% off your originating order.
Well, where can people find you on social media and where can people find Koa?
Yeah, so I am at Pallavi Yetur on Instagram and Twitter. Definitely follow me, keep me posted on things, I guess, anxiety things. Koa is at Join Koa also on both of those platforms. And your listeners are going to get a free month of our membership.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Anxiety. Yeah, of course. So I think last time we talked, Koa was doing a series of classes and we gave a discount on that. We have pivoted to a membership model because gyms have memberships and we are a gym for mental health. And what's cool about that is that you get access to all of those classes and you can take them as many times as you want with different instructors, with different groups of people, so that you're also connecting with more people. You're bringing different examples to it each time, so you can get a lot more out of it that way. We also have a lot of on-demand content, so we do little short emotional push-ups that you can kind of do every day. And I've done a Q&A, for instance, on scarcity mentality, and all of that content is on that on-demand library to view as well. So the membership is super valuable. You get a free month if you use the code anxiety. But yeah, otherwise follow Join Koa on Instagram, Twitter, all the places.
Awesome. Well, always absolutely a pleasure to talk to you. A lot of fun, and you bring so much expertise and are able to explain it in a way that us normal people can. So thank you.
No, I'm so happy to hear that. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be back anytime to talk about whatever things.
I will absolutely take you up on that. Yeah. Well, have a great day.
Thanks, Patrick.
You got it.
Oh, man. So much to think about with scarcity mentality. It can affect your life in so many different ways, right? But yeah, thank you so much to Pallavi. I actually just interviewed Pallavi again today for another future episode, so there's more Pallavi coming, which is awesome. She's such a great guest. Before I get to the weird thing that was causing me anxiety this week, I just want to remind you of my other podcast called Death Space Filling the Void. Check it out wherever you get your podcasts. Then there's the Buy Me a Coffee link. It's a way to make a donation to the show, which is always extremely appreciated. That link is in the description. Then there's our new sponsor, Pure Spectrum CBD, who's offering the promo code AnxietyPod for 15% off your order. So yeah, check them out and support them, which helps support me. And get that CBD and all that good stuff to help yourself out. Then there's Instacart. If you sign up for grocery delivery through the link in the description, that tells Instacart that this show sent you, which also helps support the show. And then there's the Cardist studio, who offered the promo code AnxietyPod and that gives you 15% off your initial order. So yeah, the weird thing that was causing me anxiety this week, I wouldn't call it the Sunday scaries, but we've just been running around getting a lot of things done around the house, both for the holidays and just general. And I had a beer league hockey game at like 10:15 at night, and by like 7 o'clock I was just like so anxious. I've even tried to unpack it, and I don't know, I was like starting to have a panic attack. My stomach started hurting. I still can't even really pinpoint. I mean, sometimes during these hockey games I get really out of breath, and you know, I'm 36 and I have back arthritis, right? Not surprising. You know, I'm out of shape, right? So it hurts. And sometimes I can't really sleep that well after games when they're that late. They're not always that late. Just because the adrenaline gets up and you've just exercised, and then it's hard to like calm down and go to sleep. So maybe I was like anxious that I was going to feel like crap on Monday morning. But regardless, I got to the point where I was like having a panic attack and doing like, you know, heavy breathing, and really had to like ground myself and just like slowly breathe and try to bring myself down. And I mean, that's why I always ask that question to the experts of, you know, let's say you do everything right and still things go haywire on you. You know, what can you do? Because as much as you prepare and you're in therapy or doing whatever works for you, right? You still could have those moments, and still likely will have those moments. So kind of having that already in the back of your mind about what to do in those moments, I think is very important. And in this case, it was very helpful for me. Just starting to notice how I felt and breaking apart different parts of my anxiety, and just shifting from like worry towards like action, things I could do, things I was in control of. Yeah, nice little panic attack. And I played great in the hockey game, yeah. So, you know, we still lost, but I had fun. And that's the name of the game. Well, anyway, thank you so much for listening. Next week won't be a full episode. I think I'm just going to do like I did at Thanksgiving, just 5 things causing me anxiety at Christmas. But that's fun. So, as always, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much to the sponsor. And I'll talk to you on Thursday.